Summary of Toby Ord's The Precipice. Overview. In The Precipice, 2020, philosopher and ethicist Toby Ord examines the risks that threaten the human species. Humanity is at a pivotal stage. We must take essential steps to guarantee our survival and, more importantly, our future. The existential risks that limit humanity's potential include asteroids, supervolcanic eruptions, stellar explosions, nuclear war, climate change, pandemics, and out-of-control artificial intelligence. A thorough strategy must be put in place quickly to ensure our readiness for when these risks manifest. Edge of glory. The future of the human race is the most pressing issue of our day. We have gotten so powerful, thanks to technological advancements, that we have become able to wipe out our own species, destroying all our potential and future. We as a species lack the wisdom, collaboration, and vision to avoid committing catastrophic errors. The future becomes more precarious when the disparity between wisdom and power widens. It's impossible to continue like this. In the coming centuries, humankind will be put to the test. Either we will take bold action to save the potential of our species or lose and be erased from existence. It is imperative that we take immediate action by mitigating the threats we face now, preventing ones we may face in the future, and evolving into a society that won't risk its own future. A history of progress. Humans have just lately started to explore their history. In the last 5,000 years, we've started writing down our history on clay tablets, papyrus, and paper. Humans were not the most robust of species, but they had the most intelligence. Numerous major shifts have occurred throughout our history, each one catalyzing a period of rapid power growth and setting the stage for the subsequent developments that would form our world. The agricultural revolution that began in the Middle East approximately 10,000 years ago marked the first major transition in human history. Humans tamed wild crops and replanted seeds from the best plants, producing greater yields by utilizing the potential of evolution. Humanity has also been able to capture large quantities of energy and transform it into productive labor thanks to the scientific revolution and the industrial revolution. These two eras are among the most unstable in human history because of the disparities they created between and within nations. Today, the danger of nuclear devastation, made possible by scientific advancements, terrifies humanity. The usage of fossil fuels has led to the production of greenhouse gases, and the industries that rely on them have contributed to the extinction of species, the degradation of ecosystems, and the pollution of the environment. Nonetheless, despite these serious issues, the standard of living is now far higher than it ever has been. The widespread availability of low-priced goods that resulted from the Industrial Revolution has significantly reduced poverty in recent decades. Increases in the rate at which individuals have been able to escape poverty have been steady during the past 2 centuries. Moreover, the education system has improved greatly as a result of compulsory schooling. Only 1 out of 10 people globally were literate prior to the Industrial Revolution, a number that has increased to 8 out of 10 now. Life expectancy has also increased from 20 to 30 years prior to the Agricultural Revolution to 72 years now. The course of development has been rocky, with some aspects improving while others were deteriorating. On a global scale, however, where we can witness the evolution of all human civilization rather than the rise and fall of individual ones, positive patterns are evident. While this incredible development is cause for celebration, we must resist the temptation to become complacent. The speed with which we have accomplished such progress should motivate us to end remaining inequities and misery. What are existential risks? The future has endless opportunities for humanity. Our predecessors could have only dreamed of the degree of wealth and health that we have attained, let alone imagine the virtual spaces and the places beyond our planet that we are exploring. Existential risk means something that threatens the existence of humanity and the destruction of our long-term potential. The sum of all conceivable futures that we can reach for as a species represents our long-term potential. This is a broad conception of possibility, one that encompasses everything that humankind may do in the future, even if the tools to do so have not yet been devised. Human extinction would completely destroy human potential, signifying a permanent state of failure. The threat of losing humanity's whole future with all its potential achievements is enough reason to be worried about existential risks. Moreover, many ethical frameworks and traditions support the argument that protecting the future is essential. The destruction of the present and the betrayal of the past are two additional hazards posed by existential risks. These risks endanger one of the most important and elaborate components of the universe: human civilizations. In light of these considerations, there is much to be done to ensure our survival in the years to come. Governments, universities, and communities all tend to ignore the very real threat of extinction. That's partly because humanity is eager to show off its newly acquired strength and maturity. It doesn't care about the future and isn't willing to wait for anything. Another reason is the fact that dealing with existential risks seems like too much of an endeavor to be realistically achieved. Literally, saving the world feels like a daunting, colossal task. But there are signs that this is changing, and world leaders are starting to care about existential threats. Existential risks of nature. The first type of existential risks we face is natural risks. There are three main ones: asteroids, supervolcanic eruptions, and stellar explosions. Asteroid impacts were the leading cause of the mass extinction at the end of the Cretaceous period that wiped out the dinosaurs. In 1980, scientists Luis Alvarez and Eugene Shoemaker detected an abundance of iridium, a metal that is very uncommon on Earth but more frequent in asteroids, near the geological border between the Cretaceous and Paleogene eras. Humanity started to take the prospect of catastrophic asteroid and comet collisions more seriously after this discovery. A UN-sanctioned group and an international coalition of spaceguard projects have formed to cope with the asteroid menace. Almost all asteroids larger than a kilometer have already been discovered, and none of them are predicted to reach the Earth within the upcoming century. Potentially more dangerous to humanity than extraterrestrial threats are those that already exist on Earth. Eruptions of very large volcanoes, called supervolcanic eruptions, can be compared to the impact of asteroids that are between 1 and 10 kilometers wide. This would lead to an agricultural disaster on a global scale, causing starvation all over the world for billions of individuals. Supernovae or star explosions could pose a serious threat to human life if a star were to explode near enough to Earth. A supernova's explosion emits energy equal to the energy emitted by the Sun over 10 billion years. The odds of such a thing happening in the course of a century are around 1 in 5 million. By looking in space for potential dangers, we can generate a more precise estimate for the following century. We haven't identified any promising leads of any kind, but we haven't written them off either. We need to start keeping track of candidates for supernovae within 100 light years to see how certain we may be that none would burst in the upcoming century. All in all, although numerous disasters are possible, none of them are likely to wipe out humankind within the next millennium. Man-made threats are much more likely and dangerous. Existential risks of humanity. Of course, the first man-made threat most people think of is nuclear weapons. Ever since Hiroshima and Nagasaki, nations around the world have feared that a nuclear war could wipe out humanity, and even complex life as a whole. The impacts of a nuclear war would be felt all over the world. Explosions and subsequent fire are examples of local consequences. These would wipe out whole cities and kill millions of people at the blast locations. However, due to their restricted scope to major cities and military targets, these direct consequences of local blasts cannot induce extinction. Instead, it is the worldwide repercussions that pose a danger to humankind as a whole. Fallout, which may irradiate the whole planet, is the worst possible outcome of a nuclear war. After an explosion, radioactive dust is released into the air, eventually covering large regions before settling back into the ground. The whole planet would be covered in a thick, ominous cloak of soot. This would prevent sunlight from entering the atmosphere, thereby cooling, darkening, and drying out the planet. The planet's main crops would likely fail, putting billions of people at risk of famine. A second human-made threat is climate change. Most scientists believe that human-caused climate change will severely impact the environment and society over the course of many centuries. The primary focus of climate economics and sciences is on quantifying and mitigating such damage. While these consequences are already dire, climate change also might have far more catastrophic outcomes, such as the full collapse of society and human extinction. The main issue isn't our immediate demise, but rather that our current practices will almost certainly guarantee such a catastrophe in the future. The effects of human activity on our planet are already becoming apparent. Since 1900, the Earth's temperature has already increased by 1 degree Celsius, and the water levels have increased by 23 centimeters, with an acidic increase of 0.1 pH. These might seem like slight changes, but the conditions that make life possible on Earth are so delicate that even slight changes carry huge repercussions. Keep in mind, when it comes to the environment, we are wreaking havoc on the planet in more ways than one. Overpopulation, depleting essential resources, and the loss of biodiversity are other grave threats to our planet. Existential risks of the future. While technological advancements and human progress may offer an optimistic view of the future, humans are still at risk for disasters in the coming centuries. One of the major future risks comes in the form of pandemics. The tremendous population density and interdependence of contemporary civilizations may make it much easier for pandemics to propagate. Nonetheless, with better hygiene and sanitation, preventive and curative medication, scientific knowledge of illnesses, and public health authorities to promote global collaboration in the event of an outbreak, the world's population has never been healthier. While natural pandemics are not very likely to pose a deadly risk to humanity, pandemics caused by humans could be highly risky. These can be the result of pathogens accidentally escaping laboratories and spreading, like the 1978 smallpox outbreaks, or pathogens being intentionally used as biological weapons on rare occasions. Yet another risk comes in the form of artificial intelligence. With AI technologies growing and learning skills fast, AI researchers' ambitious objective of developing entities with broad intelligence that transcends our own poses the most probable existential risk. In that case, humans would stop being the smartest beings on Earth, ones that determine their own fate. We must thus come up with a solid strategy to maintain our hegemony. To solve this problem, we should build AI systems whose objectives are completely aligned with our own. Unaligned AI has the potential to significantly alter our environment. The academics focusing on such programs find them considerably more challenging than expected. Novel methods for aligning AI systems are conceivable. However, the extent of this development has been restricted. The current paradigm predicts that sufficiently clever entities would pursue self-serving goals like our demise and subjugation. Analyzing and prioritizing risks. We need to quantify the risks before we can discuss them properly, although discussing risks using numbers is very difficult. However, it is essential for effectively conveying the dangers involved. Risks related to nuclear warfare, climate change, other ecological damage, man-made pandemics, and unaligned AI are the top 5 most dangerous risks. Unaligned AI poses a 1 in 10 chance and is the biggest threat to humanity's potential in the coming century. Moreover, an existential catastrophe affecting humanity during the coming century has a 1 to 6 probability of occurring. The chance of an existential catastrophe is called total existential risk. It combines all the existential risks. A positive correlation across risks is to be expected when comparing and combining them, because some of them have causes and solutions in common. It will likely be decades before enough resources are allocated to properly address all the existential risks. Therefore, we must establish where best to concentrate our efforts in order to minimize the total existential risk. Risks that are more important, more easily solved, and more neglected should generally be prioritized. The focus should also be on risks that can happen without a prior warning. How can humanity save itself? It's our decision to determine how to proceed. The decision to live or die, to succeed or fail, is solely in our hands. Almost everything that happens in the future is up to humans. The plan for humanity to reach its full potential consists of 3 stages. The first stage is achieving existential security, where the threat of extinction is minimal and remains so. Stage 2 is known as the long reflection stage. With humanity's long-term viability assured, we may contemplate what we genuinely want and decide on a long-term scenario that best brings out our full potential. The third and final phase consists of attaining humanity's full potential, which naturally derives from the first 2 phases. Keeping humanity safe is a worldwide need. Yet any single country lacks sufficient incentive and power to decrease existential risks and prevent activities that increase the danger. As a result, there must be global cooperation among nations to deal with the threat of extinction. Beyond the large scales of nations and humanity, everyone has a role to play in ensuring the safety of our future. A career is one of the most efficient ways of contributing to the future of humanity. If we can dedicate our careers to this cause, a large impact can be achieved. Speaking with those close to you about the significance of the future is another option. And you can make an effort to be an educated, responsible, and attentive citizen by keeping up with the news and encouraging your elected officials to act when crucial windows of opportunity reveal themselves. The potential of humanity. Existential risks threaten the longevity of the human species. But if humans across the globe cooperate in saving their own humanity, we could live long enough to witness cosmic events that will happen centuries into the future. We used to believe that our options were restricted to Earth, but now that we have access to so many more possibilities and resources beyond our planet, we have to wonder what we could do over long periods of time. The horizon of the future is an expansive one, both in time and in space. But its quality is solely dependent on how we choose to cultivate it and how much worth we give it. If we can guide humanity to security, we'll have more time to figure out the future. It's time to make good choices for ourselves and our planet. Achieving our full potential will be challenging, but it is still possible to reach it. Author style. Toby Ord's writing is well organized, accessible, and well explained despite its complicated concepts. While Ord tends to use many key terms and specialized jargon, he always defines them and often gives concrete examples, occasionally using graphs, tables, and figures. The Precipice is well organized into thematic chapters that develop one main idea in a structural manner. Ord includes sections for resources, appendices, and further readings. Author's perspective. Toby Ord is an author and a philosopher with degrees in computer science and in philosophy. He is a senior research fellow at Oxford. He has focused his research on ethics and altruism, as well as the risks that endanger humanity and the ways in which it can be saved. Ord has pledged to donate 10% of his salary to charities working to make the world better for humans, and he has founded the Giving What We Can Society for people to join him in his pledge. We hope you enjoyed summary of Toby Ord's The Precipice. Purchase the book to learn more.